Hi, welcome to the Spacebin website. This is a video toolbox to aid you in changing components on the Spacebin, hopefully ending the confusion and making your job easier. Today we're going to change a door switch. The tools you need here, you'll need a number 1 Phillips, you'll need a number 2 Phillips, and there's a couple of nuts. They're very small. They're about 5 or 6 mil. I find just a pair of needle nose is probably the easiest thing to use in this case. And I take a torch or some sort of light in case you're in a dark environment. First thing you want to do is make sure the machine's secure. So we want to put the brakes on. And we want to disconnect the power from the mains. The other thing you probably should do is at least press one of these stops. I've turned the key off, probably don't need to remove it. Now the switch will come as a complete unit with a cable on it. This is one half of the switch here, and you need to note the little raised section. That needs to line up with the part on the other part of the switch. So to replace that, you use your number 1 Phillips and your needle nose, or your spanner, whatever you have, here and here. Take this switch off and replace the new one exactly the way that one was. Try to take note of the position of it, how far out it is, where it is, although you can adjust it later. But if you put it back in the same position, you probably get lucky and it'll be right. That's that part. The next part has a cable attached to it that goes around to the controller. Now if you find you come out to the machine and there's no bin in it, the plate's up, there's a wire guard up here with 2 screws that you can remove, pull down, and the wiring is exposed. If there's a bin in here, this isn't going to be possible. You have to do it a different way. This wire guard here has to be removed, so we're going to assume there's a bin in it. And we can't remove the upper wire guard. So we're going to take this wire guard off. As I said, it has to come off no matter what way you do this. So I drop the front of the wire guard down a bit, sliding it back slowly. The wire guard should come straight out. This is the cable that goes to the controller that we have to get out. Now some of the other wiring is zip tied. This is zip tied nowhere. It just goes to the back of the controller. Done like that on purpose in case we need to remove it the way we're going to now. So if we come around to the back of the machine, there's normally a back panel on here that you will have to remove. There's a number of screws along the top and down the sides. That's where your number 2 Phillips comes in. Remove that panel to expose inside the machine. This is the controller that I spoke about. Now, on the label, it tells you where all the plugs go and what they correspond to. In this case, we're after the door switch 1, which is here. So we want to undo the nut and pull that cable. So now we've got him out like that. Now I've already tied the string on it because we're going to pull the cable through, leaving the string behind. And when we get it through, we'll tie the new cable to it and pull it back into position. I've done this plenty of times. It can be done. You just have to be easy with it. You can't go yanking it through. So you just have to slowly get it all into place. There are some bolts and stuff that it can get hung up on, but if you pull from one side to the other, eventually you'll end up with it like that. You'll have to obviously take the string off this cable and put it on the new one exactly the same. I'd put the string towards the end of the cable. That'll help. If you put it back here, it'll tend to want to get caught on things where it should pull a bit straighter from there. To start it, I would tuck it up over the first panel so it's in the second wire guard. At the moment, that's it there. We need to put it on top of the wire guard so it's in the right position. Now we should be able to pull that through. Once again, it might take a few goes. And when it gets to the end here near the controller, you might have to wiggle him around. As I said, if you fiddle with it a bit, you won't have any problems. Now once you get this cable back through here, there's a little locator on it, and there's a locator on the socket. If these line up, they go in easy. You shouldn't have to force them. Tighten your nut up. Now that we have the cable run, we need to replace the switch on the bracket. Now there's 3 screws that pull this door switch bracket out of the machine. Unfortunately, we can't get these screws off the switch without pulling this out. So 1 on the inside, 2 on the outside. That allows that to come out as such. And this is the same. You'll need a number 1 Phillips. You've got a Phillips head screw with a couple little nuts. So you pull that off, put that switch back on. Once again, you want to note the raised bit, I guess a locator. Make sure that the cable is pointing forward. I don't think it'd point backwards. You wouldn't have enough cable then. We need to put this back up in here. The whole screws back in. There's really no adjustment to this, so once the screws are in, tighten all that up. Now if you've put all the switches back on in exactly the same position they come off, they shouldn't need adjusting. This is the cable here. Like I said, we just leave it hanging there like that. Once the wire guard goes back up, it's all protected. I'll put the new wire guard on. Actually, before I put the wire guard on, we'll make sure that the switch is adjusted properly. You might want to take note before you take it off or replace it, the gap. But we're after about a 3 mil gap. And the switch is lined up front to back. And if you look along them, they should be level, which these are. Once you're happy with all that, make sure that the switches are tight. Put your wire guard back on. So reverse what you've done. Being careful the wires don't get anything caught. Once you've got the wire guard back on, we want to test, make sure your tools are up. We want to test that the switch works. I'm assuming that when you come out, the machine wasn't running. So we need to turn the e-stop on, key on, make sure that one's on. For the test, you'll need a bin. Right, machine's running, so obviously that switch is fixed. Once you're satisfied the switch is fixed, you need to go around and put your back panel on and do up all the screws.